The No Love Lost released yesterday, 12th of March. If you're not sure what No Love Lost is, then let me fill you in a little. No Love Lost is a free-to-play, third-person shooter PvPvE extraction game from the developer Ratloop Canada. Just a quick little bonus, if you download the game before the 31st of March, you will get the free limited edition Plasma Machete. You have two rival raiding crews, the Beasts and the Hornets. Each crew will consist of 5 players, meaning there are 10 total players in the game. The aim of the game is to complete quests and collect as much nectar as you can, while trying to avoid the other team, or if you're feeling risky, go for the PvP option. Personally, I think you get the most enjoyment out of the game when playing with friends, as me and the rest of the Realm Space crew were playing online yesterday and we had an amazing time. Just before we jump into this video, which will help everyone who's just beginning the game or whether they've already sunk a fair few hours in, I would just like to thank Ratloop Canada for partnering with us on this occasion and sending us out a load of goodies, which I can assure you were much appreciated. As you can see, I am wearing one of them right now. There will be an unboxing video coming very shortly. So, you've started the game and selected a server, and you're now faced with the gear screen. Now, it might look like a lot is going on at first, but it's easy to figure out and use. In this screen, you will be selecting the gear and perks that you want to enter the game with. Just a little bonus information about the perks before we carry on. If you don't get extracted, which I will talk about later on in the video, you will lose a perk. However, if you are successfully extracted, you will gain an additional perk. Okay, back to the task at hand. As you can see, you have a selection of 3 gadget pairs to choose from. You will notice at the top of the screen that some gadgets are locked. This will unlock as you level up in the game. Some of the gadgets currently in the game consist of the boomerang, shield, EMP, explosive grenade, gas grenade and drone, etc. The best way to find out what suits your playstyle is to jump in and test them out. My favourite combination is the explosive grenade and shield wall. And finally, just to touch on perks a little before we move on, these will grant you, well, perks to make your life in game that little bit easier, such as a nectar magnet perk, which will save you time running around picking up nectar, as all the nectar will come to you instead. Again, to find out which perk is best for you, get in there and test them out. So, once you've picked all the perks and gadgets, then you jump into the main hub of the game. So the main hub of the game is pretty much just the starting area. So you'll have your 2 ships that will take you to where you need to go. Obviously, one being the Beast, one being the Hornets. But apart from that, this is where you'll find all the shops to spend the nectar, to spend the premium currency. You will also find the wardrobe so you can swap everything out. There's a range so you can test the weapons. And there's also a bit of a petting zoo, which I thought was a bit strange, but always a nice addition, should we say. Let's quickly talk. I do want to mention one setting in the game, though. When you first load into the game, you will be on an open mic system. Personally, I'm not too keen on the open mic system, as we had a few people come into the game yesterday who were new, who didn't know about this, and you could hear them talking to their better half, should we say, and it was very strange. So my first suggestion would be to go into the settings menu, go across to the controls, the keyboard controls, go down, you'll find the mic controls, and you need to set that to push to talk. Personally, that's what I would do. So push to talk, I think, is / as standard. So you're probably going to want to change that to something a little more accessible to the old hands. So I mentioned earlier in the video there is a range, a shooting range. So as you can imagine, there are plenty of targets all over the wall. And in front of you, to the right hand side of the saloon, this is, by the way, in front of you will be a assortment of weapons that are in the game that you can try out. I believe on the floor there is the assault rifle, rocket launcher, shotgun and sniper rifle. And that's for the range weapons. But in game, you do get the revolver as well. The melee weapons consist of the hammer, the katana, the sword and the spear. Now, another thing to note about the range is the fact that whatever gun you select to use whilst in the range, when you go to your ship to be taken away to the map to start the match, that will be your starting weapon. So if I go over to the range, pick up a sniper, let's say, and then head over to the ship, I'll get onto the ship, and what do you know? I've got a sniper as my starting weapon. Same with the rocket launcher, assault rifle, and the shotgun, as you can imagine. Revolver, you will have to find in-game, though. Personally, my favourite combination of weapons to use is the hammer and the assault rifle. Now, I've had the hammer a few times, and in game, it just deals absolutely insane damage, especially once you get the gold tier of the weapon. And same again with the assault rifle. Once you've got that gold tier, I find it was unstoppable almost. We had a few very good games yesterday using these. That brings me on nicely to tiers, which you've just heard me speak about. So tiers of the guns they go from obviously like a low tier weapon to a higher tier weapon. Obviously, the higher the tier, the more damage it does. So we started off with a white weapon, and then it goes to green, then blue, then purple, and then finally gold. So that's like your legendary almost. So as you can imagine, you don't find as many golds knocking about, but you will find a fair few purples, I find. And then I'd say the last big tip at the moment that I've got for the hub area is to just get used to the weapons. Getting used to the weapons is the best way. Obviously, like the rocket launcher is a slower firing gun, which obviously shoots rockets, but they are like homing rockets, so to speak. So they lock onto the target and they go. Obviously, the sniper, I didn't really get on well with the sniper. I think the combat is a bit too fast paced to be using the sniper myself. You might be different. And then obviously the assault rifle and the rocket launcher probably do what you'd imagine they do. So, and then once you've got to know the weapons, I'd say the other good thing is to get to know the hoverboard. Now, personally, I think the hoverboard is probably one of the best parts of the game. I absolutely love flying around on the hoverboard. It's just crazy, absolutely crazy. It's so fast, it's so nimble, agile, and especially when you start to get into a scrap, it's really good just to get out of a bad situation, pretty much. But I'll go into the hoverboards a little bit more later on into the video when we're talking about the main game. The other thing to note is in the main saloon in the middle of the hub, you will find the stores. But then if you head to the right of the store, you will find the Drer Dawn event. Now, this is an event for the launch of the game. Looking through it, it's almost like a battle pass, but it doesn't cost you anything. It's completely free. No £20 here and £20 there, completely free. If you go over to the right hand side, and you will see a selection of items that are there, and they will also have a level cap. If you click the actual Drer Dawn event, then you will see what level you need to be for the certain items. So it goes up each level. So for every level you go up, that means you've unlocked something else. And these range, they're all skins pretty much. So this ranges from emotes to normal raiding skins and weapon skins, etc., as well as a character at the end of the pass. So we've done the hub. Now we're into the main game. What's the point of the game? So with it being an extraction game, as you can imagine, you do need to extract. So the whole point of the game is you are dumped into this world, and there's your crew and the enemy's crew. Your objective, there are 3 objectives or 3 quests, missions, as you will, which are listed on the upper right-hand side of the screen, A, B, and C. Your objective is to go and do those, and whatever the objective asks you to do, whether that's kill a certain amount of enemies, collect a certain amount of nectar pods, or my personal favorite is exploring the vaults. So you go through the vaults, they've normally got some AI enemies, and then once you get to the end, you're normally rewarded quite a few weapons and quite a bit of nectar. I think they're the best ones to go for myself. But yeah, so doing all of these objectives or missions, they will reward you with nectar. And nectar is the whole point of the game. It's to get as much nectar as you possibly can. You've always got to be wary, though, because another way to gain nectar is to fight the other team. So if PvP is more of your style and not PvE, then this is the best way of doing it. The best way I've found, well, the best way us at Realm Space found yesterday while streaming was to wait a little bit, because what you will be able to see is when the other players are doing the objective, it will tell you how much they've progressed through that objective. And then once they've got to nearly the end, I'd say, that's when we'd get close enough and then we'd swoop in. So one, we'd swoop in, kill them and get all their nectar. And then the second thing is we would swoop in and complete the objective. So not only are we getting their nectar and then decreasing the amount of nectar that they get, because when you die, you lose nectar. You don't lose all the nectar you've collected, but you do lose a fair chunk. So we'll collect their nectar and then we get the nectar for completing the objective in the first place. So it's a bit of a win-win, really. It's what I'd like to call a bit of a sweaty tactic, should we say, but it works very effectively. So you've got your nectar. What are we doing with this nectar? So when you've got the nectar, you will notice a supply ship will come in. I think it's 2 or 3 times a game. I think it's 2, from what I remember. The supply ship will come in periodically throughout the match, and then it also, so as well as having a heal point and an ammunition point, it also has a deposit point. So this deposit point is to store all the nectar that you get. So you can only store 30 at a time, and it's not the fastest interaction ever. So you do have to be careful in case, because there's only this one drop point, this one extraction point. So everyone's going to be fighting to deposit their nectar. So you've always got to be wary of your surroundings. So you deposit the nectar, and then once the nectar has been deposited into the ship, even if you get killed, you can't lose that nectar. So even if you deposit 100 nectar and then don't collect any nectar for the rest of the game because you keep getting killed, then you'll still contribute 100 nectar to your crew. So personally, I think that's the best way of doing it, because when you come to the end, you have to get extracted. So everyone's fighting for a place on this last ship to get extracted. Now, if you've not been able to deposit any nectar, you might have 400 or 500 nectar in your bank balance. But if you don't get onto that ship and get extracted, you lose it all. So it's vital that you deposit it as a safety barrier kind of thing, and then make sure you get extracted with all that nectar as well. So another thing that was quite apparent whilst playing the game is that teamwork is vital, as you can imagine from what I've already spoke about. The devs sent us a list, like a tips and tricks and all about the enemies, as you can see here. And one of the main things that it states on this sheet is that a lone raider is often a dead raider. Now, that couldn't be more true. I thought I would go off and do a solo mission by myself, but guess what? 5 of the other raiders came straight over, and lo and behold, I died. So that would be another big tip, is to make sure you're sticking with your team, and yeah, just stick with your team. So quickly, I want to touch on the hoverboard, which I said I would do in the main hub part of this video. So the hoverboard is probably one of the best parts of the game, without a shadow of a doubt. Now, the hoverboard, we found a great tactic that worked. First off, if you spam the space bar very quickly, you can get quite a lot of height in game. Now, you also get a ring shot with your hoverboard. So you get a few of these to use, and obviously they recharge over time. So what the best thing to do was to get to a high ground, and then while you're flying through the air, is activate your ring shot, and then you will progressively get faster and faster. So every time you're about to slow down, chuck another ring shot out, and then you can also stack these with your teammates. And if you do stack them with your teammates, you end up getting extra nectar for it. And it will also let you know that a team has used your ring shot as well. So if you've got a squad of 5, you can really get from one side to the other side really quickly. So I could start off using my 3 or 4 ring shots, and then my teammate will come in, and then the other teammate, and then before you know it, we're already at the objectives. And I dare bet you'll be a lot faster than the other raiding team. And since we're on the topic of the hoverboard, don't forget to use your hoverboard to escape dangerous situations. This is probably one of the best tips I could give you. Don't bother, if you're outnumbered, don't bother trying to fight, because all you're going to do is lose the nectar that you've been given, or lose the nectar that you've been gained. The best thing to do is to hop on that hoverboard and get out of there quickly. Use those ring shots, as I told you earlier, and just dip. Regroup with your crew, and then start again. And that's pretty much everything that a beginner would need to know in No Love Lost. I hope you've enjoyed watching this video. If you have done, make sure you go below, click the like button, hit subscribe. Also, don't forget to look at all our socials. We've got a Discord where we're trying to grow a community of gamers. We also throw events from time to time. And if you've got any video ideas, hit us up. We're always open to suggestions. If I've missed anything or you know of something else that a beginner would need to know, then make sure you put it down in the description below. And from everyone here at Realm Space, we will see you in the next one.